and hopefully prefer innovative and practical solutions beyond what I think is really an incredulous call by some of our elected leaders that citizens like you and I should acquire even more arms for self-defense. Beyond the already existing over 6 million small arms and light weapons in the hands of civilians across Nigeria. It is my honor and privilege to introduce our 4 eminent panelists who will discuss all of these issues with us. And I'm going to start with the farthest from the room, with George Chile Ebo Osuji, who is joining us remotely. George Ebo Osuji served as the president and judge in the appeals chamber of the International Criminal Court, beg your pardon, at The Hague from March 2018 to March 2021, when he finally retired from the court. Before then, Judge Ebo Osuji had served as a trial judge at the court from March 2012 to March 2018. Before joining the ICC, Dr. Ebo Osuji served as a legal advisor to the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights in Geneva, while holding at the same time a cross-appointment as Principal Appeals Counsel for the prosecution in the Charles Taylor case at the UN-backed Special Court for Sierra Leone. Dr. Ebo Osuji earlier held several posts at the International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda, the ICTR, including as a senior prosecutor. And before then, before joining the International Public Service, he practiced law as barrister before trial courts in Canada and Nigeria. I will turn to our next panelist, Mr. Ayu Mustafa, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. Mr. Abdul Hakim Uthman Mustafa, SAN, is a distinguished legal practitioner. He graduated from the famous Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria in 1988 and was called to the Nigerian bar in 1989, upset. Mr. Ayu Mustafa, SAN, received his LLM degree from Suffolk Law School, Boston, USA, and an MBA degree from the Business School in the Netherlands. He was conferred with the prestigious rank of Senior Advocate of Nigeria in 2016. He is the principal of Ayu Mustafa and Co. Legal practitioners and notaries based in Abuja and Lagos. Please join me to warmly welcome Ayu Mustafa, SAN. I will go ahead to quickly introduce our third panelist. He is Mr. Dele Farotimi. Mr. Farotimi is a lawyer, a seasoned political activist, member of Citizens Rally Against Oppression, and an author. He was called to the Nigerian bar in the year 1999 and remained in active law practice until his retirement in 2018 at the age of 50. I'm sure when you see him, you'll be surprised and shocked to hear him mentioned in the same line as the word retirement. Mr. Farotimi attended the Lagos State University and was president of the Students' Union in 1994 and 1995. This leadership opportunity ingrained in him the desire for social change. Welcome, Mr. Farotimi. Thank you. And finally, but definitely not the least, I have the pleasure of introducing my dear friend and brother. I think I have known the Honorable AG since I was a teenager. Attorney General Mr. Moyosore Onigbanjo is Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Fellow Institute of Chartered Arbitrators of United Kingdom. He's a member of MBA Lagos branch, MBA prosecutor before the Body of Benchers and Legal Practitioners Disciplinary Committee in July 2012. He is also a notary public He was born on 24th September 1964. A.G. Onigbanjo attended Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, same class as me, where he bagged a Bachelor of Law in 1988 and was called to the bar in 1989. Mr. Onigbanjo began his career with Akin Delano & Co. as managing associate, Professor A.B. Kasumu's Chambers as a solicitor, L.A. Adeniji & Co. as managing partner, and M.J. Onigbanjo & Co. as founding partner. A first-class litigator, and in recognition of this excellence, he was conferred with the rank of Senior Advocate of Nigeria in September 2013. Please join me to warmly welcome Mr. Muyosori Onigbanjo, SAN. Now, this session was designed to run for an hour and a half. We would not try your patience for too long. We would try to keep within that time frame. We would run it for an hour and a half. Each of our panelists would present for 10 minutes each. And we would follow this with a question and answer session, about 20 to 30 minutes. And I will indicate to you when that time is upon us. So while the speakers speak one after another, I would beg of you to kindly hold your fire until we've gone through all four of them, and then we will take your questions. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm having to try my best not to yell more than the audio appears to be making me yell. So, Leonard Silks, all protocols observed.
I believe this is better. We're speaking to the subject security issues and the Nigerian Federation. When I was given this earlier last week, the more I looked at it, the more I realized that the bulk of what would have to be done today would be the job of definitions. And then I was also reminded of my post 102, for those of you who are not far from the university system. That's assuming we have new wigs around. One of the things that I was taught in that class was the social compact theory. And it speaks to the origin of states. And one of the things that was equally highlighted in that theory is the need for the state to come into being, primarily because of the need to guarantee the security of lives and properties, and to also ensure that human society is able to grow without the constant fear of brigandage or of insecurity. The learned senior who is anchoring the program did a fantastic job of pointing out the relevant section of the Constitution, as fraudulent as I believe it to be. And that Constitution, in all its glory, spoke to the primacy of the security of the citizens' lives and that of their properties. The question that I need us to pay attention to is this. When you look at the Nigerian coat of arms, you see that part where it says unity and faith. And then it speaks to progress, it says peace and progress. So I ask myself, where is the place of justice when you are speaking to unity and faith, peace and progress, but nobody is talking about justice? In the absence of justice, it is impossible to achieve peace. In the absence of justice, it is impossible to achieve unity. In the absence of justice, it is impossible to gain progress. And it is almost certainly beyond the ken of humanity to be able to rest, because the human spirit constantly yearns for justice. It is that we will gain a lot if we look to the work of John Rawls, an American social compact theorist, in his seminal work that was published in 1971. He spoke to the theory of justice as a society of free citizens, holding equal basic rights and cooperating within an egalitarian economic system. You cannot have peace when men and women understand the fact that they are on equal planes within which to play. If you have a country that is essentially governed not by law, but by impunity, what constantly happens is that men seek to equalize the less salutary part of life that is handed to them when their citizenship has been taken from them, and law does not rule to equalize and ensure that everybody are treated equally within the nation state. That is the situation with Nigeria today. We can desire peace all we want, but as long as we live in a society where what is guaranteed is injustice, and I'll speak to that because if you look to the Nigerian state today, we talk about insecurity as being the biggest problem that we are facing, and that is the reality. You can't travel outside of Lagos without having to contend with the likelihood of your being kidnapped, or even worse, killed. But in that same country, the only time our president appears to be completely lucid is when he's talking about Sunday Igboho or Nnamdi Kanu. When he's talking about every other thing connected to security, you could make a case, a very lucid case as well for that matter, for the likelihood of the president not being compos mentis. So you then ask yourself, is the state really interested in security? Or is the state merely paying lip service to security? These are questions that we need to ask ourselves. Part of the further issues that we have to deal with in understanding the issue, we speak about a Nigerian federation. Once upon a time, I read English language and linguistics up to a point, and as part of that, you were taught part of speech. That phrase itself is oxymoronic in the extreme, because you really cannot speak to a federation when you are speaking about Nigeria. Those of us who read government in secondary schools would remember the definition of federation. Nigeria does not meet any of those definitions because it is anything but federal. So if you are going to address the problems of insecurity in Nigeria, you first of all need to be able to tell yourselves the truth about the country that we call home. If Nigeria were to be federal, Lagos State, with the 5th largest economy in Nigeria, would have its own police force. American universities have police forces. I was speaking with the Honorable Attorney General earlier on, and we were ruminating over this. How is it that in a country that says it is federal, it is impossible to have police forces that are within the communities themselves, are conversant with those who live within the community, but the policeman that we have in Lagos, there was that incongruous video of Governor Sanwo-Olu speaking to an ASP at Magodo, and he could not get the ASP to move an inch because the ASP very respectfully illustrated the madness of the place we call Nigeria, where the governor of the state, who is the chief security officer of the state, is incapable of speaking to a policeman who must take his orders from Abuja. And yet, Nigeria is a federation. So when you want to deal with the issues plaguing Nigeria, it is critical that we are able to tell ourselves some home truths. The home truths would suggest that in the absence of the rule of law, what rules in Nigeria is impunity. And it is only the poor to whom these laws then applies. And in the absence of the evenness of the rule of law in a space, what you have is exactly what we are lamenting: insecurity. Because each person understands that the levers of law are not even. The goddess of justice is certainly not blind, and his scales are rigged. We only speak selectively to the injustice, but these are the things that engender insecurity in Nigeria. If the same laws that will go after Sunday Igboho and Nnamdi Kanu were to be equally applied to those we have called bandits, those who have the capacity to bomb trains and to stop the operation of the train tracks, we call them bandits. Not one is to be found in any Nigerian prison. But those who are demanding to be made citizens, who are asking for the right to self-determination, the Sunday Igbohos of this world, the Nnamdi Kanus of this world, those are the ones the Nigerian state is very, very happy to pursue and to incarcerate. In the absence of justice, you cannot have either security or peace. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Farutimi. Many questions begging for answers. Is our security problem a legal framework problem? Can it be resolved by taking a second look at Section 215 of the 1999 Constitution? Because it provides very clearly that the police force shall be under the command of the Inspector General of Police, and that it is only subject to the provisions of this section that a governor of a state or commissioner can give directives to a commissioner of police, provided that before he carries out such directions, he may request the matter to be referred to the president. Is that the legal framework that is our problem, or are there other solutions to addressing the challenges of security and the Nigerian Federation today? I am going to turn to Mr. Ayo Mustafa, SAN, to share his perspectives.
Good evening, everyone. I'm privileged and delighted to be here. The starting point that I would love to lay the foundation of what I'm going to say on is for all of us here to know, and indeed to pass to every other person, that Nigeria is in a state of war. Nigeria is in a state of war against itself. And unless we understand the enormity of that, we are not going to be able to put this in proper perspective. Ladies and gentlemen, as we speak, the victims of the Kaduna Rail, a lot of them are still sleeping in the open. They are denied their rights for what is not their fault, but the fault of the state. They are just popular, that's why people are talking about them. There are so many other people as we talk that they are under very severe, excruciating situation as a result of the fact that the country that we call ourselves our own, that we submit part of our rights to, is not living up to its responsibility. So, at times like this, when the nation is at war, you don't play politics with, when you're in war situation, you don't politicize issues that has to do with prosecuting the war. Everybody, one way or the other, will have to lend its hand and support the military. That has been lacking, and that is one of the things we need to do. My colleague, incidentally, I understand we are called to bar at the same time, talked about Section 215 of the Constitution and powers of the police. I don't want to talk too much about the problems. We've heard so much about it, and it's so depressing that even these days, I just listened to the headline news, and take it off, the more you hear the analysis and the extraneous things, you get depressed. And I'm happy the jurists that joined us told us that crisis and violence is not limited to Nigeria alone. United States of America is adjudged to be the most democratically and safe country in the whole world. When I was researching this submission, it is said that every day 45 people die every day in America as a result of gun violence. People going to school, going to mall, they live in palpable fear. So the problem is with us. Now, what are the solutions? I have quite a number of them. I hope my 10 minutes will allow me. But let me start from where my sister stopped. And that is the powers of the Inspector General of Police as enshrined in Section 215 of the Constitution. For me, it is no longer if, it's now when. Nigeria is overdue for state policing. Let us come to think of it. Nigeria claims to be a federation. We are a federation. Unlike what my colleague said, the Constitution makes us to be a federation. And we have 3 tiers of government. We have federal, state, and local government. Why is it difficult for us to internalize, practicalize, and implement federation principles in our policing? Why do we have to have a unitary system of policing and we call ourselves a federation? So it is long overdue. I want to speak to the concern of those who are opposed to state policing. It is not points to be washed away. They have very valid points. One, they talked about funding, that a lot of state governments are not even paying their civil servant salaries. Talk less of adding the police salaries to it, that is going to be a big problem. Number 2, that we are just not ripe for it. That our governors, they will use it as an opportunity to fight their real and perceived enemies. Valid points. But we cannot continue to do the same thing and expect a different result. As far as funding is concerned, I think that proposition is a bit misplaced. It is true that some state governments are having difficulty in paying salaries. But if we have to have a state police, because the advantage of state policing is that the police is from that community. He knows all nooks and crannies of his environment. He knows the father of this, the father of that. They can nip it in the bud. I wonder how somebody from Biu will come to Lagos and you make him a DPO. It will take him eternity to understand the values and culture here before he starts his policing. Anyway, the solution to funding of police is in line with what we have said severally. If we have to practice federalism, then there's a need for the federal government to shed part of its responsibilities. And we need to have fiscal federalism. We need to amend the Constitution to give more money to the state and for the state to use this money to pay the salaries of the policemen. We cannot say because we don't have funds and whatever, and we continue to lose lives and properties. Like the moderator said, the number 1 responsibility of government as enshrined in our Constitution is preservation of lives and properties. For now, I will be saying the obvious if I say the government is struggling or is not doing that at all. So the solution to that is we need, in the spirit of federalism, to amend our Constitution and give more money to the state so that, and it can be the dedicated account, so that the governor of the state will not be able to touch it. The second issue for me, which is a non-issue, is the governors will abuse it. In the times past, there was a time they said they should not license private televisions because they will announce results before it comes out, they will incite violence. It proved to be wrong. Any governor worth his salt that knows that the votes will count with the new Electoral Act will be very careful not to take any step that will put him in jeopardy. And if we have a very, very functional state assemblies, a little semblance of what we have at the federal level, the governor concerned can be impeached. So the idea that because of resources and concern about abuse, the issue of state policing, we are not right for it, I think is misplaced with respect. Second, as lawyers, most of us goes to court. There's a need for judicial reform. One of the cardinal principles of punishment theory is not necessarily to inflict pain on the accused person, but to serve as deterrence, so that before you commit the crime, there's a limit to how the state can manage crimes. But if you employ deterrence, if those who commit a crime, they are brought to justice, it will serve as deterrence. What we have now, in this age, in this era, a lot of our courts, they take notes by longhand. The purpose of being a judge is defeated if the judge is busy taking notes. The purpose of a judge is to observe the demeanor of the witnesses. But the judge can't do two things at the same time. He can observe demeanor and take notes. A lot of other smaller countries, they've embraced technology. Technology, you have digital legal system that will, the proceedings will be recorded and will be archived and is available to you. As lawyers, the MBA, we need to stand up and ensure that we have proper and adequate funding for the judiciary. Until that is done, we are not there. Number three, we live in a science age. In the times past, in the olden days, all of us used to believe that the white men, they are superior to us. Science has shown that that is wrong. It's the same blood that flows in my vein that flows in theirs. Indeed, a lot of Nigerians have excelled outside Nigeria. What we need to do is to embrace technology. We need to have our ability to embrace technology, to be able to empower intelligence gathering and nip in the bud. You have drones, laser drones. You have a lot of gadgets that can get information for you. It's so embarrassing that in this age, the kidnappers will communicate with the victim's family. They will collect money, take the money away, and nothing will happen. I stand to be corrected. I've not seen where our DSS, military, police, they've been able to nip in the bud at the point of collection of the ransom for them to be arrested, killed, or prosecuted. Another problem, if we like it or not, our military, they are stretched to the limits. And there's a limit to what they can do. There's something called military contractors, but the real name for them is mercenaries. Out of pride, the military in Nigeria, they don't even want to hear anything about the mercenaries or the contractors because they feel it's an affront, it's an embarrassment on them. But it's not correct. US government used mercenaries when they invaded Iraq. Russia used mercenary in Syria. We have to be realistic and know that the limit we have now, we need to address this problem and push these miscreants away. This is not who we are. An average Nigerian person wants to live our lives. Why do we have lots of miscreants? Because they have gone and they will make life miserable to us. More importantly, these hard solutions is in the long term. What are the solutions in the short term? There's massive unemployment, underemployment, and unemployable people in Nigeria because the training is not right, because they don't have the enablement, they don't have the right capacity for them to survive. So Nigeria needs to put a lot of more resources in education. You can't get it wrong with education. Then secondly, how do we open the economy up and absorb a lot of our teeming youths? Just imagine a civil servant that struggled to send his word to school, to university, and expectedly that, oh, okay, the moment you pass and you graduate, you finish your youth service, you're going to get a job, and you relieve us, we'll be able to walk to the bus and say, first year, second year, third year, fourth year, nothing. The guy will be frustrated. However, we are sitting on a gold mine here. Just one example. You know, at times you wonder, those in government, maybe when they get to government, something takes over. The entertainment industry in Nigeria, without government interference, is a multi-billion-dollar industry. If you watch a movie, Nollywood movie, the actors you see there, they are less than 10% of those who participate in that sector. The back end, the costume, the feeding, the transportation, the logistics, they employ people. If Nigerian government put a little bit of resources in that regard, a lot of Nigerians will find fulfillment. They will not only be employed, they will become employers. Again, we have arable land. It's raining now. If you eat mango and you throw it out, in the next few days, that mango will grow and you eat. So we have arable land. Why are we not farming? We don't even have an agricultural policy in Nigeria. We are net importers of food. We need government to open the agricultural sector for investment and opportunities. Forbes Africa, for all of us now, said the next generation of billionaires that will come out of Africa, they will be farmers. Are we ready? American system, only 2% of American population is involved in farming, and they can feed the whole world. We are sitting on a gold mine. We're complaining of dollars. Dollars will continue to appreciate because we are net importer of everything. In every problem, there's an opportunity. That's why he said that a good lawyer, in terms of prosperity or adversity, you always be making your money. Most of things that we import, we can start producing locally. That is, during the British Industrial Revolution, it was necessity that was the mother of invention. When they get to a certain level, it will force them to invent more. Maybe this dollar appreciation, I've been told, is an opportunity for us to look inwards. I don't want to give advice, but let me say this. The bag of Bua cement, 95% of it is produced in Nigeria now. So the opportunities are there, and we need to think out of the box or think without the box. My time is up. Thank you for listening.
Leonard SAN. Excellent points. But I was just thinking how much we need to be able to take these really important points that have been made already in this session to the policymakers. And I realized, oh my goodness, there is a policy and decision maker here. So I'm going to hand it over to the decision maker, policy maker in the room, the Honorable Attorney General of Lagos State.
Thank you very much. Good evening to our distinguished audience. Before we start, I think I can spot in the audience the matriarch of the bar, Chief Mrs. Folake Solanke. Please, can you please acknowledge her? For those of you who don't know her, she's 90 years old and she still has enough energy to be attending this session at this time. Please give her a warm round of applause. Thank you very much, Ma, for being part of this session. We all pray that at 90, we would all still be as bright and as energetic as you are. So, security in our nation right now is in a sorry state. We don't have to kid ourselves. The Global Peace Index of 2020 rates Nigeria in the last 20 on peaceful states to live in. So Nigeria is grouped with countries which are at war, such as Afghanistan, Sudan, Libya, Syria, and you name the very bad regions of the world. How did we get to this sorry state of affairs? So it's not just your typical threat of the kidnappers, the bandits, Boko Haram, and other terrorist groups. Other issues that has brought us to this sorry pass includes food security. Many of you will recall that during COVID, when there was a lockdown, one of the major issues we had was food security. Neighborhoods had to start fending for people living in their neighborhoods by providing them food because these people couldn't get food to eat and they were becoming a threat to everybody. There is also massive unemployment. It needs no gainsaying that the devil has work for the man who is idle. Again, we have an alarming number of out-of-school children. There is also the issue of acute poverty. And then when you look at also at COVID-19 dislocated the world economic order. The war in Russia, the war between Russia and Ukraine has also affected the world economic order. If you put all these things together in a mix, the consequence is the insecurity that we are seeing. But in Nigeria, our own insecurity, we can say, is also man-made. Look at the police, for example. The United Nations recommends that for every 450 citizens, you must have one policeman. That is the recommendation. Consistently, from 2017 till date, even beyond 2017, Nigeria has never come close to this recommendation. So clearly, we are under-policed. We do not have enough boats on the ground. Look at this conference, for example. There are 13,000 registered participants. How many policemen have you seen guarding this conference? So clearly, there needs to be mass recruitment and training of policemen. We need a police force of close to 1 million men on the ground. If you also know that, well, whilst preparing for this session, I tried to see if I could find out the actual number of policemen we have in Nigeria. It's a secret, but estimates go to like maybe 370,000. Out of these 370,000, your guess is as good as mine. How many policemen are guarding politicians, attorneys general, let me add myself, judges, very important personnel, people who have money. Sometimes I'm sitting in my car and you see somebody go past you, maybe in a Rolls Royce, a Range Rover, a G-Wagon, and he has about 2 or 3 security vehicles accompanying him, filled with armed policemen. Definitely, all these things, we are paying for them in insecurity. We do not have enough policemen. The ones that we have are taken away by the rich, by politicians, by government to watch over themselves. So, also the issue of state police is a no-brainer. It's only in Nigeria that we would even be having a conversation about this. It's a no-brainer. Those of you who are familiar with the systems in Australia, in the United States of America, where they practice federalism, you will find out that even a university campus has its own police. Every county has its own police. So that's why you have LAPD, that's Los Angeles Police Department. That's why you have NYPD, that's New York Police Department. Every county, every state, every territory has its own police. So in some places, you go to some places, you see a sheriff. I'm sure even if you have not been there, we have seen it in movies. You see a sheriff, a deputy sheriff. They are responsible for that territory. If you commit a crime, for example, in, say, Maryland, and you cross over to the next state, which is Washington, the police in Maryland will not follow you across border. The police in Washington will take it over from there. But in Nigeria, somebody sits in Abuja and wants to pretend that they are policing your village, your community in Ikotepene, in Ogbomoso, and all. Even in Lagos, which has the greatest number of police commands, there are so many places where you would not even see a policeman. And the presence of police is a deterrent. So if you see policemen all over these premises, you are going to think twice before committing a crime. But when you see that they're nowhere to be found, then you begin to think that, okay, I can snatch this man's phone and get away with it. So we need massively to recruit. We need to get over our colonial complex and have state police. Amend the Constitution, let's have state police. One of the greatest problems to my mind in Nigeria when it comes to security is absolute lack of consequence management. Nigeria is the only country where impunity reigns. Impunity is king. So anybody can do anything at any time, and nothing is going to happen to him. So you see a big man or a landlord can lock up his tenant just because the tenant didn't pay his rent. He can go to the police, cook up a story that this is obtaining by 419. The police will lock him up, nothing will happen. So impunity, lack of consequences, it goes all across board, even in legal practice. What's our disciplinary procedure? It's in a mess. Our colleagues are committing offenses every day, but there's no consequence to deal with what they have done. Nobody faces the music. Nobody is made to pay when they err. In Lagos State, what do we try to do? We do what we call making the best of a bad situation. I think it was the title to a song. I can't remember the artist. Making the best of a bad situation. So even the Nigerian police, as bad as they are, or as handicapped, let me use that word, as handicapped as they are, I can tell you that if the police withdraw from the streets, within 2-3 days, there will be war in Lagos. As bad as they are, that's the truth. So the state, we have a Lagos State Security Trust Fund, where although, they call the governor the chief security officer, I'm sure as lawyers we know that he's only chief security officer in name. And as we can say on the streets, chief security officer, my foot. The governor of any state in Nigeria cannot deploy one policeman. That's the truth. They also call the Attorney General the chief legal officer. That's also a fallacy. Because if there is a crisis, it's almost like going to beg the police authorities to act. So Lagos State, we have a security trust fund. What do? They buy equipment for the police. They arm the police. They fuel their cars. They give them vehicles. They give them communication equipment. And this is a federal agency. But the state, we even give them allowances. to ensure the amount of security, even though many will say it's not enough, even that little bit that we have is because of what state, and this doesn't happen just in Lagos. All the states are doing it, supporting the police. In Lagos, we have to also start what we call a rapid response squad, which there is a smaller unit of about 2,500, and they can be deployed quickly, faster, to where you have security flashes. They've been of tremendous assistance, and we commend them in that regard. One of the ways to tackle security, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We just have to look at technology, right? So in other climes, everybody who comes into an event center like this, a CCTV will capture your image. The CCTV will see you get into your car, your Uber, your whatever means of transport. And it's the same when you disembark. So Lagos State, we're trying to deploy about 2,000 CCTV cameras statewide. But it's not enough, but it's a start. Another thing that we need to do in Nigeria, and this is really very ridiculous. So if you go to a bank, they say go and bring your BVN. You want to use a phone, go and do NIN. You want a passport, go and do capture. You want a driver's license, go to Federal Road Safety Commission. All this data, why are we not using them? Why are they not speaking to themselves? Why are they sitting in silos? Because it's the same data. And it's very important for security that's why, for example, to come to this conference, you have to register. So the Nigerian Bar Association can beat its chest and say proudly that we know the identity of every lawyer, every delegate, every speaker that is coming to this conference because everyone is registered. And that's where each state should get to. We must use all this data, use them to identify people. So that if somebody comes to your state and commits a crime, it will be easy to use the person's biodata to locate where he stays, even if he has, maybe given a false address. He will not be able to use any services until he's caught, because if he wants to buy a SIM card, his identity will be flagged. If he wants to get a passport, it will be flagged. So we need to use technology to capture all these things. I can see my good friend, the compare, fretting on her seat, which gives me an indication that I'm running out of time. So just to close, and most importantly, I think, the things to tackle insecurity are within the wherewithal of government. If we have the right constitutional reforms, because if each governor is responsible for security in his state, if each local government chairman is responsible for security in his local government, and you give them the means, the enablement to do so, I think we'll all be better for it. Community policing is the way to go. Don't send somebody from Kano who doesn't know the creeks of the Niger Delta to go and police it. And that's the problem we have. Let's use local knowledge to ensure that we have a safer and better climate. Thank you very much.
I think we're coalescing around a number of issues. From all of our panelists, we've heard them not only define the problems, but they have also been able to focus on a number of solutions. But this is the time now to take your questions. I think we'll have to limit the number of questions in the room, but I want to also encourage the people that are online to put their questions in the comment box. Please put your comments your questions in the comment box if you are joining us remotely. For those in the room, if you could just indicate by raising your hand. I see one hand up already, 2, 3, 4, wow. Okay, lots of hands up in the room. I am going to encourage you to please keep your questions short. If it's a comment, one sentence, please. Can we start from, I think there was yes, that gentleman at the back there, and then someone to the right.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. My name is VC Odo, Enugu branch. Madam Moderator, I think the panelists have covered the field fairly exhaustively, and I'm grateful to them for enlightening us. But it appears that these things, all the issues they have raised, the solutions they have provided are not new. We have had this over and over again. We have seen these things all over the place. If you go to the road now, you will see roadblocks where policemen are abusing, creating traffic hold-up, only collecting money from road users instead of policing. And we do nothing. The Leland Attorney General has painted all the pictures the way it should be and dropped the problem on the foot of government. Now the question is, why are we not addressing the lack of willingness of government to solve these problems over the years? They know it. They have had it every day. They know. Why are we, as leaders, as the led, not able to hold the government to account to us why they cannot give us a secure country? I want to tell you, madam, that as we are talking, we all know that the community policing, the state police, is a permanent solution to this issue, but we are not doing it. The government doesn't want to do anything.
Thank you so much. I will take there was a gentleman on the right. Yes, the person who's standing. Yes.
Name is Professor Kenekanwo Azunda Anele. I am of Port Harcourt branch. We had listened to beautiful and elegant presentations. I thank all of you, sirs. My concern is simply that the presidency, not this particular regime, has been my own headache. Why is it so? Granted that there are several causes of insecurity in this country, we have executive arm of government. And for goodness sake, we run a presidential system of government. The laws are there. In course of executing the laws enacted by the parliament, if the executive, for whatever regime, finds out that the extant laws could not deal with the situation, what has been done? Had the executive at any point in time proposed a bill and sent to the legislature to either enact new laws or amend existing laws? The problem is selective implementation of existing laws. Even if we would like, we should fill this auditorium with all the laws in the world. If the executive is not the type that is given to implementing the laws that exist, we can't do anything. Recall that when President Obasanjo was the president of this country, civilian, there was some kind of crisis in OD. It didn't waste time. It descended on them. I'm not saying that he did the right thing. What is important is to take decision when the need arises to take. How many times are presidents taking decisions? If our presidents have been taking decisions, we will have Boko Haram everywhere. We will have militants everywhere. Thank you, ma'am.
My name is Otumba Yemi AP Adetoyinbo, member MBA Akure branch. My question is this. Why have we not been able to get there? Implementation of policies, laws, resolutions. The Nigerian Bar Association, among us, will be having the Attorney General of the federations and the Attorney General of the states representing us in government. Either they have not been doing their bit, or they have been consumed and swallowed by the government. The transition of the NBA from Bola Jibola, SAN, who later went to the ICJ, to Bayo Ojo, SAN, Clement Akpango, SAN, at a time when the NBA said we will not be allowing those who will use the NBA presidency as stepping stone to become the AGF, at the end of the day, turn against us. Today we are here. The governor of Plateau State, Simon Lalong, former chairman NBA Plateau. Those who are lawyers as governors, they said something. Ibe Kachuku, a lawyer, said something. That when he was the Minister of Petroleum Resources State, that you have to do the signing offs. Policy by government not implemented. Why don't you resign? At the NBA conference, AGC, in 2018 in Abuja, we were told that about 21 lawyers were serving Buhari government, from the Vice President Oshibajo, Fashola, Udo Udoma, Lai Mohammed, and others. I was there then. Then, as at today, sir, by virtue of Section 214 and Section 250 of the Constitution of Nigeria, the Establishment Act of Nigerian Police that gives power that the National Assembly shall enact laws regulating or even creating other bodies from Nigerian police force. Why has it been so difficult to have this state police, issue? The governor of Plateau State said today, and I want us to go on from there. We will get there, even from what the panelists have said there. The governor of Plateau said, the National Assembly, the amendment of the Constitution, they rejected it, but that the governors have sent it back now. Whether they can pay, if Lagos State is giving allowances, Lagos State has this security supportive, fund, whatever is it. Even buying helicopters, even buying air shoppers. When we are in the law school in Lagos here, we heard that there's a marine police as well. Check cases on there. So what I want to say is that let us do the needful. If we have representatives in government not assisting us, so the Constitution of Nigeria, the amendment, let us have the police, the state police becoming part and parcel of the Constitution of Nigeria. And finally, let me just say this, sir, that since we find it very difficult to allow vigilante and all this kind of, other people are forming so many security agencies now. Let us impart this to the state law. The Amotekun has come to stand now. You have the ACA and the Ebubiagu in the southeast and others. So the government of Nigeria should know that.
Thank you, sir.
To put an end to security breaches in the country, let us have the state police. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. If I can just respond quickly to you, sir. The reason we don't have state police is because the issue of police is on the exclusive legislative list. And before you can amend the Constitution, it's not just the work of the Attorney General of the Federation of the state. There is a process, a very, very tedious and difficult process to amend the Constitution. And you need, I think, after both houses of assembly have passed it into law, then you need to take it around all the states. And that is the joker they use against us. They will not agree for that. Even the current National Assembly, there is a constitutional amendment process going on. They have rejected state police. So the Attorney General cannot do anything. He's not the lawmaker. He can only propose it. Most of the Southwest states, I can tell you, sir, during the amendment of the Constitution exercise, when the National Assembly came to the South, we all agitated for state police. But when it got to the National Assembly, it was shut down. So we just need to be determined and resolved to keep fighting until we get this constitution amended. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I don't know if any of the other panelists want to respond. They were largely comments, but it was all about how do we make the transition from all of these amazing solutions that you've proffered here, some of which have also been proffered elsewhere time and time again, to implementation. What will get us there?
Thank you. I think by consensus, the issue of state policing appears to be what all of us will agree to. Immediate implementation. By way of statistics, the United Nations ratio of police to citizen is 1 policeman to 400. Nigeria, we are 200, let's even say we are 200 million Nigerians. We have less than 350,000 policemen. Out of these 350,000, a generation or percentage of them are with our political office holders or those who have left office because it's a status symbol. They still retain their policemen, some with the banks, some with embassies. So you find out that at the end of the day, maybe the number of policemen that police all of us, they're not more than 200,000. And like Leonard Eji said, if these 200,000, they down tool, then I don't know, I can't imagine what will happen. So the immediate thing is like yesterday, the government needs to employ at least 200 to 300,000 policemen. And we have the resources because that is the primary responsibility of the state. That has to be done. It's a quick win. That can be done like yesterday. And instead of anchor borrowing, blah, 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 this kind of money can be challenged to the entertainment industry, can be used for farming. So these are the immediate things that can be done. And more importantly, we need enlightenment. These people that rob all of us, that kidnap, they're not strangers. They live in our communities. There's a disconnect between the government and the people. People they don't trust government enough to give information out. Government need to build consensus. On a lighter note, a friend of mine shared a joke with me. In a market somewhere in the north, the market women observed 2 or 3 of their market that trading together, that they started buying new Hollandis, new shoes, and they were looking kinky. So the other person said, what's going on now? You are living a better life than all. I say, no, our husband has changed. You say, what's your husband doing? Our husband is doing kidnapping. Thank you.
So I'm going to turn it back to the panelists for final word. I'm not sure if Judge Chile Ebo Osuji is still with us online. I would like to start with him for 1 minute final word to round up the session. If he's not there, then I'm going to turn it to Mr. He is. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. these problems. Each of us, every Nigerian, needs to be able to propose solutions and not asking what is somebody else doing about the problem. I thought I must emphasize that. Now, do I have all the solutions? No, I do not. But in my perspective, I've pointed out the angle that worries me, where I thought we should be exceedingly careful about. But I've listened to what other panelists have said, and there are some of them that are exceedingly sensible proposals. The idea of state policing, the Attorney General said, I said, and I think I agree with it. In Canada here, you have the RCMP, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, and the federal police. But each probably one could afford it would have Ontario, the wealthiest things in Canada. Ontario has OPP, police. In essence, and each city, Toronto has its own police force, and Ottawa would have its own police force, and somebody pointed out universities even have their own. And that's correct. So I do think that it's a sensible proposal to really do that in Nigeria. What I'm not so sure about is the proposals that are hiring mercenaries. I'm not sure that's the way to go. International frowns on the use of mercenaries and citing convention against that. So let's be careful with that. And I'll take it back. Thank you very much for the privilege of being joined here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Judge Otsuji. Again, I wanted to thank you earlier, and I totally forgot, for making that point about the clear absence of women on this panel. I blushed for the organizers when I saw the list. So thank you for that. And for the point about the use of mercenaries. But I think most importantly, for me, I call myself a human rights practitioner, there are problems with our policing and our security forces right now. We need, before we can devolve policing to state levels, we must have a security sector reform agenda before we even start to transpose what we have to the subnational level. Thank you so very much. I'm going to ask Mr. Dele Farotimi for his parting words. Final words from you. 1 minute.
It is I've listened to a lot of people asking why we've not managed to move from where we are, do something about where we are, do something to affect our situation. And I would just like us all to understand something. We are not here by accident. We are exactly where we are by design. The Nigerian state is not designed to do all of the things we are yearning for. And if we truly seek to have those things happen, we must be prepared to impress it upon our rulers and the Nigerian state itself that we cannot continue the way we are. We simply have to restructure and redesign Nigeria. The designers of this mic intended for it to be used for exactly what I am doing, as ineffectual as the sound system might be. But the fact remains that if I took this and attempted to speak to you with this bottle, nothing would happen. So do not be alarmed that nothing appears to be changing. Understand that we are where we are exactly by design. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Honorable A.G. Lagos, final words.
Well, I think we just need to find the resolve from somewhere. It's a difficult one to crack, but amend the Constitution we must. And we must find a way to put pressure on the National Assembly and every single person that can make this constitutional change possible. We must look for the willpower to do what is necessary in order to secure ourselves. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Very well said. AU Mustafa, you have the final word.
Okay, on the final note, I want to digress a little bit. Yeah? We have said it also, I adopt what all my finalists say. I just have a piece of advice. With the situation of things, everybody lives in palpable fear, we are depressed. What do we need to do at times like this? Two things. Number one, we should continue to remain vigilant, but be positive. What we say in our subconscious affects our minds. We should not say, oh, Boko Haram will come today, Boko Haram will come tomorrow. Let us have it and internalize it that things will get better. Nigerians, as Nigerians, we are very resilient. Things like this have happened before. We have survived. We are going to survive again, and we are going to have a better Nigeria. We need to speak to that. We need to own it and profess it. Number two, what do we need to do? We need to be happy. And being happy, I don't mean material happiness, buying shoes for ladies, buying cars and whatever. Happiness means if you're able to impact somebody that is less privileged, somebody that is close to you, and you put a smile on that person's face. The smile, the happiness of that person should be happiness for you. That is higher calling. Thank you.
Thank you very much. To you first, very wonderful audience, for your patience, your participation, your engagement on this subject. Thank you to our very excellent and amiable panelists. And I don't want to forget all of the people that are joined us remotely, including Judge Ebo Osoji, as well as the participants online. Immediately following this session is a session for notary public. And so if you are for that session, please stay in this room. Before we go, I have one final task. It is to ask our mother at the bar, Chief Mrs. Folake Sholanke, SAN, CON, to present the gift to our panelists. But we are going to her rather than she come to us.
Sis, good to see you. I haven't seen you.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, but we chatted though.
Louisville.
Yeah.
When your daughter graduated, she graduated before mine, Abi.
Yeah.
Hold this thing. First of all, I want to salute
everyone here present, I want to say to you that your black and white outfits have been wonderful. Those are the professional colors. And I want you to know that the gentlemen, maybe ladies first, the ladies look fantastic, and the gentlemen look absolutely remarkable. Please keep it up and tell those who have come in rainbow colors to remember that for professional engagements, we are black and white. I could have said dark colors, but if I said dark colors, somebody would come in green or brown. So please stick to black and white and send a message to those who came in rainbow colors that I said so. Thank you very much. The session has been absolutely illuminating, and I will recommend two things. Something has to be done about the policemen on the streets, whose job is only to extort money. And sometimes when people try to avoid them, it can cause their death. So we need to continue, as the keynote speaker said, we cannot give up. We must continue to agitate that the policemen should do their work on the streets and not to extort passengers and travelers. That message should be sent to the Inspector General of Police, in addition to the governors and the attorneys general. That's important. And then the question of having a police force. I think there's been equanimity in this hall about that. Again, please don't give up. It may be difficult that the National Assembly has not done anything about it, but we must not give up. One of the points I took from her, from the keynote speaker, that don't give up. We must continue to be disruptive and to be troublesome when we see that things are not going on. Now I want to salute the moderator, the female moderator for this event. Look at her in her black and white, absolutely glowing. You did a fantastic job. Thank you so much. And I want to salute all the panelists for all that you have done. You were enthusiastic. You were passionate about what you wanted to say. Thank you very much indeed. And when I start to hand over the gifts, I extend all I've said to each one of you. The legal profession is the best profession in the world. In the book of Genesis, God said, let there be light, and there was light. That was the first decree. And that was given by God, so we are the first profession in the world. Now, I will respectfully ask the moderator to bring the panelists one at a time with their name, and then I will present. It's with great joy, great professional joy, that I present to you. Oh, I know Mr. Moyosori is very known to me. Let me tell you a story about him. You know, when I was 19, on the 29th day of March 2022, he wasn't there. So I wrote to him, and I wrote to the governor that I was very distressed, disappointed that they did not come. So he got in touch with me immediately, promised me that he would come, and he came. And he also came with the message of apology from the governor. So all is forgiven. Therefore, I present to you this gift for your very, very wonderful participation at this conference. May you continue to grow and flourish in office. And may you continue to be a leader and part of the crusade for a better Nigeria. Thank you so much. And you know what? We come from Ikorodu together. Ikorodu, Iloga. Thank you very much. My learned friend of the set, we do meet at meetings. Wonderful to see you on stage. Congratulations and thank you. Thank you very much. May you continue to flourish in the progression, and may we continue to be good leaders for the juniors. The juniors, please, I love you all. You complain that seniors don't look after you. We are dealing with that. Please, some of you disappoint me. Not as industrious as I would like you to be. You can only succeed in this profession by hard working. You must be industrious, and you must listen to your learned seniors. When I was coming into this profession in 1963, 59 years ago, I worked in chambers with Chief Rotimi, the legendary Chief Rotimi Williams. I was paid. But he would be at his desk in Ibadan at 6 a.m. I would join him around 8 a.m. from home. In fact, when we came to Lagos, I would leave my home at 5:30 in the morning, and I had young children. One was under 2, the other was 5. And his own driver would come for me, take me to his residence. We took off to Lagos by 6 a.m. We would get to the Supreme Court then in Lagos before the Lagos lawyers. And then when we returned to Ibadan, Chief Rotimi Williams, with breaks for meals, we go back to his law chambers, and he would close finally at 6 p.m. I also worked with my own brother-in-law, the late Justice M.A. Odesanya of Ikorodu. So I learned from those two people that the law is not for the lazy. You cannot be lazy. So the juniors, some of you, I'm sorry to say, you disappoint me by being not industrious. Please take it away from here that you have to be industrious, you have to be work hard before you can succeed. I wish you every singular success. Wonderful to listen to you. I enjoyed your participation and I listened very carefully. Well done, well done. Thank you very much indeed. Not at all. May God continue to bless you. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Yes, indeed. Well, you know, I've already commended her, so I can now hug her. I cannot hug the men. That would be dangerous. So, but I can hug her. I was very proud of her performance on stage. You could tell that she prepared for this session. Let me tell you, nothing that you do must be without preparation. Sometimes they ask people to come and read the Bible in church. They get to the place, they're looking for the chapter. That means they did not practice the portion before coming. I could tell that she has considered her position, what she has to do, and she has prepared herself. Therefore, it just just flowed. It just went on because of preparation. Please, whether in court or out of court, any assignment you have, please prepare. Thank you. It's a joy for me. I would like you to walk me to my yes, give your. So she's going to take me back to my seat. She's my latest daughter or granddaughter. So what do you want me to do? Justice who? I understand that the Honorable Justice Osuji is online. Justice Osuji, we thank you very much for participating. I don't know where you are. We are here, but we salute you, and we thank you for your contribution on the bench. May God bless all of us. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. I tell people that I am addicted to the law. I'm addicted to the law. So is my passion for the law. Because law is the foundation of society. No nation succeeds without law. Hey, thank you very much. Go home safely.
Thank you, ma'am.
We have come to the end of this session. We thank everybody for the active participation, and we thank our distinguished speakers. The next section will be starting immediately. It's a presentation by the Society of Notaries Public. So you can stay back and enjoy the session. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I think the day has been far spent. We've been here for quite a while. We would not utilize the 30 minutes given to us because the former session has overrun. We would only use half of that time. That's 15 minutes. I will say a few words, and then I will call on my colleague, Mr. Wale Adekola, subsequently to give some remarks as well. How many of us are notary publics? Can I see your hands, please? Oh, fantastic. So we have quite a handful of people. We're actually speaking to the right audience. How many of us have made a fortune from practicing notary public? You've made a fortune from it. Oh, fantastic. You tell us about it at some point. I would like to know your branch and know you properly. The rationale for having the Society for Notary Public is for us to set the right standards and for us to have codes of best practice. Today, beyond the situation of or the application process, nothing is heard about how the practice can be carried forward. So I'll give you an example. One of our members notarized a document for an expert who was opening an account offshore. And the notarization was rejected. You ask me why? Because the notary could not be verified. How many of us have had issues of that nature? Is it that your notarial work was rejected, or you were asked to repeat a jurat again? We do not even have the best practices around our seals like our colleagues in Europe and America. And so the society today is going to be partnering with the Supreme Court to come about with best practices that would help us. And so we have a few members. We have decided to use the platform of the MBA conference this year to be able to sensitize notaries public, and very importantly for us to be able to together have these best practices enshrined. At some point in time, this sensitization will go across to the branches, and then we'll be able to take this further. Those are the few points I would, remarks that I will make. We would have Mr. Adekola say a few words, and then perhaps if we have some other questions, there's a stand behind, we can take them, or if time permits, we can have those questions here and now. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming around for this sensitization. The essence of this essentially is for us as notaries and aspiring notaries to be able to put ourselves together and have a record of notary public in Nigeria as is done in other climes. So for this exercise, what we try to do is to identify notaries nationwide, and that's why we are using this auspicious platform of the MBA to sensitize members and also have an advocacy on how well we can put together notaries in Nigeria as is done in other climes. What does that do for us? It helps to enhance the practice of notary public. It also helps to identify and also set out those who are trying to clone notary public in Nigeria. And above all, to also recognize notaries in Nigeria against other countries. For example, we shared an experience. I also have an experience to share where documents were notarized, sent abroad, and all you get is it was rejected. And one of the reasons is that they could not identify such notary publics because there is nobody, a body that represents the notaries. And I'm sure a few of us would have had cause to experience something like this. So what we're trying to do is to see how we can put ourselves together. And in doing so, we have also set up a very strong board that has the former CJ, Justice Phillips of Lagos State, as our life patron, and Mrs. Allen as the president of the body. We try to distribute this. I'm sure a few of us, must have been given this. We also have a card that after this session we're going to distribute where you can do on-the-spot registration. We also have emails here that you can also reach us. This is the effort we're trying to do so that we can put ourselves together, particularly for the effective and efficient practice of notary public in Nigeria. We have seen embassies rejecting documents that were notarized by Nigerian lawyers. This, we believe, should not be. And there is need for us to put together ourselves and identify with other clients so that we can have, at one click, anybody outside this country or within, you need a notary public, you can just press, like you want a lawyer, you know whether he's registered with the Supreme Court or not. So that is what we are trying to do with this, arrangement. And therefore, we plead with notaries, branches in locations to please try and reach out to us through our contact so that we can begin to do a lot of advocacy and awareness with respect to how well this area of law could be practiced. Outside this climb, you will agree with me that notary publics are well respected, and it's a business that needs to be seriously put together in Nigeria. Notaries is as old as the law in Nigeria, and we need to ensure that we regulate that practice so that we can enhance the image of notary public practice, in Nigeria. We have members around where you can ask questions because we don't want to take much of your time, but we believe that with this sensitization, members can take it over in their various branches and reach out to us in our various locations. In the brochure, you have our locations there. My name is Wale Adekola. I am the chairman for the Societies for Notary Public in Nigeria. Thank you very much, and we appreciate you. Thank you. We look forward to you receiving you as members. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the evening.
I have been a Rotary Public for over 50 years. I want to know what happened when an embassy did not recognize a Nigerian Rotary Public. Was any protest made to the embassy? The gentleman said that somebody's work as a Rotary Public was not accepted. Was there any complaint extended to the embassy concerned?
Sorry, I didn't get that question.
She said, did they make any complaint to the embassy?
Okay, so the first example that was given regarding the rejection was actually by Barclays Bank in the UK. I think the expert was trying to open an account, and then they said they were not going to recognize that notarial endorsement, and that as a matter of fact, the applicant should get a notarial endorsement from known law firms. So the essence of that is that they cannot verify individual notaries public like you and I. So there is a gap there, and that's a challenge. I don't know if that satisfies a response.
Sorry, what she's asking is, in view of that, what did you do? What did the lawyer concerned do? Was it a protest? Was it a protest, or was it a complaint made to the body?
Okay,
yes.
So it was an email sent to the applicant. The applicant informed the notary. And then what the notary did eventually, to ascertain the reason behind the rejection, was to send an email to the bank. And the bank said they cannot verify that he's a notary. Does that clarify? And maybe I should tell you the end of the story, because we had to do a joint email to say that a legal practitioner in Nigeria, okay, needs no further introduction. And so the addition of a Supreme Court number was the only thing that was available to aid the fact that first he's a legal practitioner, and then persuasive argument to say that he's a notary. Today, if you say you are a notary, nobody can verify that you're a notary. Can somebody verify that you're a notary? Beyond the stamp and seal, Even with the stamp and seal, you go to the courts these days, I have seen a stamp and seal on a document by someone who is late. So we are talking about verification here. It's a serious issue. I have seen a stamp and seal of someone who I know personally being used by his son because he has a stroke. Okay, there are several issues, and we are saying that for those of us that are practicing notarial work, we should be structured, we should be organized, we should be hands in glove with the Supreme Court to be able to streamline this practice. Wait a minute, if care is not taken, the practice of notary public in Nigeria will go into extinction. I asked somebody who just came out of the law school recently, I said, do you know what a notary public is? And she said, I don't know. How many of us know the number of notaries we have in Nigeria? Right? We have a rough idea of legal practitioners in Nigeria, but we do not have an idea of notary publics in Nigeria. Yes, please go ahead.
All right, so before the learned Sir could talk, I think I understand that the general idea of establishing the society is to collect the data of notary publics and to set a standard of practice for notary public in Nigeria. But I also do know that the swearing in of notary public is undertaken by the chief judges of the state on behalf of the CJN. And by implication, the record of all the notary publics in Nigeria should not be something that is far from being reached, because the record of the chief judges of the several states of the federation and the record of the chief justice of Nigeria should bear out the identity and the number of notary publics in Nigeria. So in effect, if we had a system that is working, a company that is acquiring the service of a notary public and that wants to identify a particular notary public can actually make an inquiry from the office of a CJN or the chief judge of any of the states of the federation and should be able to get it on the punch of a key. All right, so now what I think the society is trying to do is to synergize with the office of the Chief Justice of Nigeria or the Chief Justice of the States to collect all the data of all the notary publics in Nigeria, so that if a company or a bank or whatever body it is that is concerned and wants to know the identity of a notary public, the person can liaise directly with the society. Am I correct?
It's one of the objectives.
Okay, so that liaising will be easy while the society is trying to set a standard. All right.
Thank you very much.
In addition to what he has said, I want to believe that applications for notary public are always directed to the Chief Registrar of the Supreme Court. So by that, the Chief Registrar of the Supreme Court will have all records. And since he is with the Chief Judge of Chief Justice of the Federation of Nigeria, by that, records of notary publics in Nigeria should be there. And I want to also add, like I said, that the first point of contact for the association, even to see, to know who are non-notary publics, who might be parading themselves as notary publics, that the association get these records. Then, if anybody registers from any of the branches, they could from there know whether that person is actually a notary public or not a notary public. So that is my submission on that.
Thanks a lot. Maybe I just make a comment before the lady gets the mic. So we have painted the ideal situation. The first two last speakers. That's the ideal situation. But we are not in that ideal situation. If I ask you now, do you have your certificate of notary? How many people have their certificate of notary? What you may likely see people have is their oath document. There are very few people that have certificates. If you have certificates here, it's just a handful of people. So the question is, what ought to happen the day, just the way we get our birth certificates? So why is it that you get sworn in by the CJ 1st of July 2022, 2002, and up till now, you do not have a certificate? So it further underscores the ideal that should happen. But these are some of the things that the society is poised to address. And it would address it, like I said, hands in glove with the Supreme Court. Yes, ma'am. Where's the roving mic?
I have the mic.
Okay,
thank
please
you.
go ahead.
Yeah, good evening. I want to thank you for this initiative. I dare say a number of us have been waiting, as it were, for this moment. My slight angst is the fact that for several years there have been false starts. About 3-4 years ago, there was a call from the Supreme Court for notaries to send in their detailed information for some kind of update of a notary's register. And a number of us sent in our documentation. 2-3 years ago, there was another advertisement for some further information from notaries. And for some of us, it was like, you appointed us. You should have this information. Why ask from us? And the response was, we want to update our records. Your addresses may have changed. Some may have died. And all well and good. Now, a few years ago, I'm aware from being a member of the NBA NEC that subsequent to the introduction of the stamp and seal for legal practitioners, there was a move to introduce a unified stamp for notaries. And we welcomed the idea and we are waiting. And after a few years, nothing more was heard from that. If you go online, and you are right, part of the problem with notarizing documents for use abroad is that there really is no way of verifying that it was indeed notarized by a notary who is licensed as a notary in Nigeria. So there definitely is definitely a need for some kind of register or record of notaries. If you go online and search, you will see that there are several different online directories of notaries. The Supreme Court purports to have one. There are others. So I think this move is welcome. What we would like to know, what I would like to know is, number one, can you confirm to us that the SNP has some kind of imprimatur approval, synergy with the Supreme Court, which, because of course we are appointed by the CJN, they keep some kind of record, so that we will have the comfort of knowing that this society does have some kind of backing that we can all fall in line with. Beyond that, I personally am prepared to sign on to this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. I think, okay, please go ahead. I'll respond together with our question.
Thank you so much. My name is Mrs. Nena Laduma. I belong to MBA Warri branch. I am a notary public too. I want to commend this idea. You know, the reason is that before now, the practice is not defined. And so I think it will encourage uniformity in our practice as notary publics, and it will also encourage, you know, the implementation of best practices. We can leverage from, you know, other jurisdictions, and then we apply it. And, you know, it will give us a sense, you know, when you have a group where you belong to, if there is any need or, reaching out. You can always do that. So I want to commend the proponents of this idea to bring us together, as a society. In fact, I'm going to sign in even in this place. So I want to thank the organizers, and, that idea is a welcome development. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I think I'll just respond to the last two speakers. I want to thank you for your kind words. I think that's Mr. Alex Muka, I guess. Okay. We are definitely, we'll take you, just a moment. We are definitely going to be hands and glove with the Supreme Court. As a matter of fact, if you look at the act setting up notaries public, it's as old as, you still have 5, 10 naira for a folio, while majority of us in this room, I'm sure half of the time or most of the time, we do it for free. But in other climes, you can actually set up an office and feed on notarial practice. Why we have legal practitioners getting older, not able to go to court anymore, not able to do mundane things, they should be able to sit in their offices and do notarial work. Indeed, we are going to get there. These are some of the things that we've started discussion on. And trust me, this time around, it's not going to be a flight that will crash. Together, it's heartwarming that we still have people who have these like minds. And together, we are going to take it further. I don't know if we just take 2 more people, because I see, all right, the gentleman. And then, okay, maybe yours.
My name is George Ayanjankwe from Lagos branch. The idea for having an organization for notary publics is a laudable one. And I wanted to make some suggestions as to how this laudable quest could be achieved or made much more easier. As it is common knowledge with lawyers, right now, the Usoro Nakpata administrations put heads together, and then we're able to have a list of verified lawyers, where even as a non-lawyer, you can go on the MBA website right now and you can check if a lawyer is actually verified. And the list stretches back. If you check the MBA conference site, it stretches back even to the first lawyer that was called to bar. The roll goes way back, and the year of call is indicated. So now on our profiles, our member profiles for MBA, if we can liaise with the MBA and tell the MBA, we can have an extra section where you can indicate notary public. Are you a notary public? Yes or no? And for you to get verified on the MBA website, it's not Tom, Dick, and Harry can do it. You have to upload your call to bar certificate and your law school certificate, and it is verified before you are put on that roll. Now, for the notary public to have the certificate, why not? If the MBA allows that, they can just upload the notary public certificate, or if they have any document to attest to that, and it is verified. And then on the MBA site, you have an extra bar beside their name where it is written, this person is a notary public. And also, now we have our BPF being paid online. So before you are paying, you indicate your year of call. So for notary publics, we can also say, indicate current address. So when the MBA is putting you on data, anybody searching you from anywhere can get your address as a notary public. So from the MBA website, you can get the nearest notary public, make notaries much more visible. So if our notaries don't even have to hang out the shingle, notary public anymore. With the MBA collaboration, now you can get notary publics any punch of the finger. We have it for lawyers now, and with liaising with the MBA, we can have it for notary publics. And the way you pay your bar practice fee online, once you pay your bar practice fee as a notary public, the MBA can indicate beside your name, active or inactive. People can verify as the notary publics who sadly have passed on to glory and the ones who are inactive. So I believe the unfortunate incident of turning down notarized documents would be a thing of the past. We just liaising with the current framework on ground. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We'll take on that suggestion.
Yes. My name is Bashiru Akonira.
I'm sorry, sir. But I recognize the gentleman there, after which perhaps we will take you.
Thank you very
And if the House agrees, maybe that will be the last speaker for today. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, moderator, learned seniors, colleagues. My name is Wosu Loki Branch. My suggestion goes towards. If I heard you clearly, you talked about the issue of a notarized document was returned back because it was not properly identified. And I also heard you say the issue of them over there in UK associating it to a firm. I know that in the issue of notary public, it is practical, not to the firm. So I don't think we should not pick up what US at the United States or UK, since they is attached to a law firm. So with ours, in the sense that notary public is identification to a lawyer, particular counsel, not to the firm. So we shouldn't just go because they said it must be associated to a firm before it is recognized. We are recognized here by virtue of being a lawyer as a person, not as a firm. So let's hold firm on principle and let the UK come and join us, or they keep theirs while we do ours. Thank you.
Okay, let me quickly clarify that. I said earlier that they could not verify the notary. What such institutions will do, they know certain law firms in Nigeria. So what they did was that go to that law firm. If you get a notary public there, let them notarize the document. So that's the for that case. Yes, the last person, please. Thank you.
Good evening once again. My name is Bashir Akoni Ramoni. I'm also a notary public. But my experience so far shows that the real issue is not whether we know the total number of notary publics in Nigeria. The real issue lies with the Supreme Court, particularly the registry. My experience is this. In 2014, I applied. That application was not treated until 2017. And in 2017, November specifically, the acting CJN approves that application. Lagos State, where I practice, did not receive the approval until 2018. And Lagos State did not process that until 2020. Thank God, eventually on March 13, 2020, I was sworn.
Congratulations.
But the question now is, if you go to Supreme Court today, my name is not there as a notary public. Why? Because the registry of the Supreme Court will tell you that there are backlog of names. For God's sake, for how long will it take for somebody who applied and the application has been approved and you still don't have his name on a register? I think it's section 11 or 12 of Notary Public Act that regulates all these activities. Says that there must be a register of notary public, just like the roll call. I think the first point of call I'm suggesting is for the association to go straight to the Supreme Court, let the Supreme Court registry update its data. That's the first point of call. By the time we deal with that, then the association can then do what we call verification. And every other thing can follow. And for all we know, we must also know that as a notary public, you're also subject to tax. Because if you look at stamp duties, whatever document you notarize, there is stamp duty aspect of it. Don't be surprised, FRS or State Internal Revenue Service can also go after you. So we need to first of all deal with that issue of verification with the Supreme Court. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. You've made a very, very valid point. If we go on and on, we won't leave here. As to the first, I will recognize you, man. Please go on.
Very briefly, following the last speaker, I want you to know There's a lot of problem in the registries. There's a lot of problems in the registries, including fraud. Please, when you experience it, report it. There's a lot of misconduct in the registries of the courts.
Thank you so much. Well, all of this platform came about for us to rub minds this way. Indeed, there would have been no better place for us to have a bold transition to professionalize the practice of notary publics, if not at this conference. And so the assurances we will leave with you is that in the coming days, you would hear from the society, you would hear of the several steps that we are going to be, should I use the word, pushing the Supreme Court to take in order for us to be properly organized, in order for us to be properly standardized. On this note, okay, I would like to thank everyone for your patience, and that will be all for this evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your patience. So we've come to the end of all the sessions for today. The Friendship Center is just by the right here. You can go there and marry,